So this is Edmund. This is season 9 of Love is Blind, Colorado. He is a very interesting character. If you've never seen him, that's okay. Here's one of his fun facts about himself that introduces his kind of Edmundness to people who don't know him.
I eat my boogers. Might be a little too much, but I do eat them.
Edmund is 29. He's a realtor. Okay. Edmund is, he also has a master's degree. He has degrees in both criminal justice and corrections, and he currently does real estate. The reactions from both chat and Discord. Girl, that's how I felt this whole season. Thank you, chat, for validating me. This whole season, I was like, this man is gross. Okay, we love Edmund. I literally did have like a warm feeling for Edmund for a lot of it because he's just so fucking like quirky and neurodivergent coded, even though the man says he doesn't have autism. Okay, we'll get into that. Okay, I feel very validated. So he ended up with KB, and they had a very interesting dynamic. She was, I think, 27 at the time of filming, and he was 28 at the time of filming. He's 29 now, and she's in social work, and he is a realtor. Okay, so they're both like very accomplished people, and their dynamic was interesting. We'll get into it. Calibria, I think is how you pronounce her full name. Calibria. But they call her KB for short. So, you know, it might be a little easier, but also cool name. I love that name. She really, I thought, was very receptive to the uniqueness that was Edmund. He was very out there and, you know, just, how do I say this, girls? Neurodivergent coded. Check this out. Okay, here we go.
She was a fairy.
Very ADHD, very like, woo! He wore very, very nice, colorful, interesting clothing. He had this pick in his hair that everyone was like confused about. But fun fact, when I was homeschooling, there was a black kid in my class at a homeschooling, yes, and he used to wear a pick in his hair. So I was absolutely prepared. I am culturally there, but Reddit was culturally confused. But he even had a matching pick in his hair when he got married. This man has a style and he sticks to it. And look, there's something really, here's the picture of him on his wedding with his pick in his hair. He has a style, okay? He has a style, and that, I think, is very attractive in some ways. Like, he's sure of who he is. But also, he comes off like he's sure who he is. He's jumping around. He's being extroverted. He's being himself. He's like, you know, doing goofy stuff. He's like, there's one scene where he's laying on the floor and he's like licking the floor. And all the men in the room are like, dude, are you licking the floor right now? He's like, it feels good. I feel like I just watched a season of a man stim. Like I just felt like he was stimming all season. But then he has the audacity to go on TV and say he's not autistic. And I was like, okay, then what's happening here? Now, Edmund is interesting. He was in foster care most of his life, all of his life, basically. His mother is featured on the show, but you can see definitely, like, if you know the kind of mom she is, I think you know, I'll get into it. And Edmund is somebody who I think comes across very, like, lovable, but also very questionable in terms of his ability to grasp the situation, which I think leads to people infantilizing him and leads to him feeling very frustrated, right? So check this out.
I'm gonna be saying I'm sorry.
Wait, it's called Edmund Core.
Definitely I'm about to cry with a boner. I'm gonna be saying I'm sorry because you're gonna know I'm not serious. Oh, baby, come on, just follow me, let's walk.
He grabbed my arm.
I know, then we gotta get, like, security, because, like, he tripping.
In this scene right here, she says, what if we're at the club and a man grabs me? He goes, he didn't want to start a fight. He didn't want to be physical. So some of these aspects of Edmund are really nice, right? There's something about him that's really sweet, and he doesn't want to be violent. He's very artsy, but there's obviously something, like, deeply wounded about Edmund. that I think like can become very like almost intimidating and like kind of scary for some people. And I want to talk about this. So what I want to do is I want to show you some clips and I just want to get your feedback, and then we'll kind of I'll get more into the details of who and why Edmund was received the way that he was. So let's watch this clip together.
And these are things we have to consider when we talk about saying I do at the altar. This is who I am. It's not that I'm not as strong into it as you are. This is me.
No, and I can't be in my. I'm
Just for the record, they're having a conversation about how everyone else on the crew or on the Love is Blind cast had sex with each other except them. And she said she wanted to wait till after marriage, but it's confusing because she's had sex before. They've both had sex before. I don't think he implied he was a virgin. He is frustrated and I think overwhelmed a lot of the time. Very neurodivergent coded once again. I'll show you the clip where he says he swears to God he's not autistic, but okay, so the issue here is well, let me show you the clip, but that's what they're talking about. He's confused about why they're not going to have sex before marriage.
always a fucking nice guy. But fuck me up. I'm too fucking nice. He be fucking me up. I'm too fucking nice. I'm too fucking nice. It's fucking weird, yo.
Want to talk to me?
Cause I'm too nice. And I heard that. I know that. I get told that. I'm too fucking nice. I always hear that. That's what you telling me. Like, you're not telling me that, but like.
I'm telling you that?
You're not telling me that, but KB, that's what I'm getting. I don't know.
Wait, no, let's
I just
backtrack.
think I'm too fucking nice. I think, I can't lie, like, I'm like kind of stuck on like you having one night stands.
I'm
So, okay.
not like that anymore.
So in her past, over a year ago, she used to have one night stands. KB says to Edmund, I don't want to have sex with you because you're too important to me. I want to wait till we're married. He goes, but you've had sex before. And she goes, well, sometimes I've made people wait years or even months to have sex with me, which I don't understand as a sex positive person. I don't know what's going on here. So I wished in the edit, Edmund had said, can you tell me about your philosophy on sex? Why aren't we having sex? Because genuinely, I don't understand what's happening. So she's told him that because she cares about him, she wants to wait. With people she cares less about, she's willing to have sex with, right? And then he goes into this meltdown, which I read as an autistic meltdown, probably triggering him back to, yeah, he's kind of the nice guy. People infantilize him because he's so nice. Like, he's the guy who at their wedding together on the show, his 5th and 1st grade teachers were there. And the teachers were like, you're so great, Edmund. Your spirit's so great. You're just a light in the universe. And everyone's like, oh, I love Edmund. He's so sweet. It's a combination of infantilization and like a weirdness where Edmund himself can ground, because she tries to have so many conversations with him, like seriously, and he cannot ground himself. But what he does do, and let me show you this, is he does this face when they're having serious conversations. And this face to me is his disassociation face. Again, I'm not saying this as a medical professional. I'm saying this as somebody who watched the season and genuinely read him as neurodivergent the second he showed up on screen. And I know he says he isn't. I'll show you that right now. But what I'm seeing from this is a lack of self-awareness, because yes, he was in and out of foster care, and yes, he has trauma, and he probably has PTSD and all these other things. But there's obviously something in his communication style that makes people infantilize him, even though he has a master's degree, his own house, and he's independent. I mean, he's literally an independent grown man, but everybody infantilizes him. Everybody, including himself. Look at this interview he did after the show and tell me what you think.
That are just going off on me about why I'm on the spectrum and how I got autism and how I'm childish and how I'm not ready for marriage, or how I shouldn't be on that show, or how I'm not deserving of someone as great as KB. It's just I really, what I do is I definitely notice it. Mm. And then I just like let it make you grow in a whole different way. Like, if you are not getting judged, then I mean, everybody, but if you're not if you're not getting judged, I don't know, but I do embrace it. And and it's not my first time being judged. I think the main thing, everything I learned is that everything comes back onto you. Like if I was to be angry about them getting comments, that'd be weird. Look, my personal opinion. Like I'm really not an angry person at all either.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying though is that yeah, I just think it definitely with the experience, it definitely makes you just really learn how much you as an individual, everything, your response is the most predominant thing, and you should always respond with love and gentleness and care and like be sincere. That's but I would just say, yeah, when it comes to the comments and negativity, I do notice it, and it's entertaining. It entertains me because like it entertains me. Another thing that entertains me is that there's like doctors that are called doctors or therapists saying like I'm diagnosed with things, and they don't even. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, that's
crazy.
The TikToks that are
Okay. So a couple of things, let's talk about it. First, his reaction to KB in the bed saying, I'm a nice guy, I'm too nice. I don't, if I read this through a neurodivergent lens, I'm seeing it differently than through a neurotypical lens, which does create a difference here. So like example, chat, you said, I'm hearing a lot of word salad. I'm hearing a lot of autism. I'm hearing a lot of neurodivergency. This is how 99% of everyone sounds to me when they're neurodivergent and they're talking for a long time. I'm like, and they're taking forever to get to the point, but it all makes sense when it wraps around. So when I'm hearing him talk, I'm like, yep. Like, and everyone's really patient with him. So I'm like, okay, but here's the dilemma. It doesn't then entitle him to having the meltdown that he did. But I think when he had his meltdown, what he was saying, and I'm going to talk about KB's side in a second, but when I see it from his perspective, I'm seeing a man who's saying, oh my God, this is the thing that keeps happening to me. Where people say I'm a nice guy, they infantilize me. I'm too nice. Like something is wrong with me. He says, I'm a freak. Something is wrong. I'm weird. He goes, I'm weird. Why am I weird? It's like a self-hatred thing, right? Okay. And then from his perspective, I think he's just deeply confused too, because again, here's KB saying, you're my person. I'm going to marry you. I've had sex with everyone else but you. And she's not explaining why in a way that he's confused by. And then she goes on to say, I think sex is more sacred to you than it is to me. And I think for you, it's important, but for me, it isn't. And you have to be okay with that. When I think what she was really saying is, I'm not into you. And I don't think KB was into him. I think KB wanted to love him because she's a social worker and she saw the wounded child that he was, and she wanted to be there for him. Let's talk about KB's side. In no way, shape, or form was his meltdown on KB appropriate or healthy. Right? Chat, you're wrong. You said I Googled and this most recent season was from Cincinnati. This is from Colorado. They're in Denver. This isn't Ohio. This is Colorado. Are you looking up season? This is season 9. This is Colorado because everything about this season was about racism and white people because there's 2 Asians on the show and they had a lot of like there was a lot of conversation about whiteness on the show this season. So it's Colorado. But either way, in no way should KB have been in that situation because his meltdown was inappropriate. I also think, though, when you're with a neurodivergent person, you will see meltdowns like that. The question is, the meltdown doesn't have anything to do with you, but you still have to do emotional labor. And the question is, what does the meltdown say about that person? I think it shows that he is deeply insecure, that he doesn't know how to be sort of the adult in the room, which was KB's constant complaint about him the whole season, which was my complaint about him the whole season, where I was like, you need to grow up. And people read that as like, well, that's not fair. And he's just quirky. And like, look how sweet he is. And why does he have to grow up? He has a master's degree. Because at no point in the series did Edmund ground himself enough to have a real conversation with KB. I found it incredibly frustrating. If I was her, I would be very annoyed. And then he would do this. He would get like pouty, and then he would get kind of like angry. And I understand from his perspective, he's probably sensory overloaded. He's stimming the whole season. He's very confused. He just wants to be a happy, lucky-go guy. But I'm sorry, his childhood is too messed up for him to be lucky-go happy and not actually talk about like what's seriously going on in your life because it's showing up in the way that you show up. So from her perspective, I was frustrated for her the whole season. And I'm even more frustrated at the way people try to twist it on KB. Like she was just an angry black woman, which she said herself during the reunion. She said to Edmund, you always pick fights with me on camera. And I was trying so hard to be calm with you. Even Dr. Kirkanda, I'll show you in the future, literally has like, I don't think he knows it. Obviously, he tries to be so self-aware, but the microaggressions, in my opinion, were there. He was very hostile, calling her hostile. I was like, she is not being hostile. He is being a mess. And like, I will show you why I say this, but this is my problem with the Edmonds. So he gets to be neurodivergent and quirky and kiddish and be like, but like the moment someone's like, can you please be serious? They're like, well, you're so mean to him. You're so mean to him. Is this man grown or not? Can I not expect him? Can I not rely on him, please? And that was the dilemma with the whole show, is because he was like quirky, happy-go-lucky, we couldn't then rely on him to be serious. And then that allowed him to get away from the responsibility of being a grown and equal partner, which is why KB was painted as a villain, because she had to be the grown-up. How frustrating is that? Okay, now here's some more videos of Edmund Core, just so you can get the vibe, right?
I can't like need witnesses in the world. I ain't gonna cause no problem. You let other dudes that you don't care about, whatever the fucking case is. They got one night stand, whatever the fucking case is. And here I am rubbing your feet, give you my fucking all.
Now look, the way he talks, very autistic to me, very neurodivergent. And I mean that to be empathetic to him as well. Like, I don't consider the way he talks, like, honestly, like, I talk very similar, right? Like, look how angry people think I am all the time, but I'm not angry in that way. I could be frustrated. So I think I autistically very even though he says he's not autistic, I do empathize with the way that he looks as being maybe more, but at the same time, KB said she was so uncomfortable with him that at one point she even slept on the balcony. Like, she was very uncomfortable with him. So I would say that in that case, I think what's intimidating is like, you know, he did football in school. He's a tall guy. He's still a man at the end of the day. Like, he's got strength, you know, it can be scary and intimidating. But because he's such a soft boy, it confuses people as seeing him as like dangerous. I mean, look at this. They get to their new apartment and look what he does.
I've never been in a cabinet. Look, this is a cat. Oh, no, I can't close it. I might need your help.
You know, he's like goofy. You know what I'm saying?
So
I'm serious. I'm just always the fucking nice guy. Fuck me up.
Okay, so again, I will say, if I was dating KB, I would need her to explain to me why we're not having sex. So that, I get that. I do. Because one of the requirements for my partner and I to get engaged was to have sex prior, because I'm not about to marry someone I didn't have sex with. Okay, I'm not a Catholic. I'm not a Christian. So I know they're both, I think, Christian-ish, but like, I'm not about to wait. So in that regard, I think it would feel like rejection, and I would be very confused. Like, you're not a virgin. You've already had sex before. What's the problem? But then, you know, I think he was triggered. And I'm not saying it as an excuse. I'm saying it as an explanation that he was triggered. And because he was triggered, his self-loathing monologue to himself is, I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. You know, autistic meltdowns, they really do engage with a lot of hitting and self-harm. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what's happening, even though he says he's not autistic. It would. And look, I don't want to say that he is, but again, I'm not, you know, I'm trying to be, but the only way I can see him is through that lens, because I just don't know what neurotypical person is having this experience. Neurotypical people aren't having this exact experience. They might have something similar, but it doesn't sound like this. It doesn't look like this. He shows up so neurodivergent coded that I'm like, what's happening here? So he obviously needs a lot more therapy. He needs a lot more help. But I also want to show you a different side of Edmund that I think might bring into... It might make a lot more sense now. Okay, so before I get into that, let me show you. This is his mother. I was shocked she showed up on the show. And then I heard her speak, and I'm like, I know what kind of mom this is. So Edmund was in and out of foster care. Okay, he'd be home for a few months, and something would happen, he wouldn't. His parents rarely show up for him. His mother didn't even show up to the wedding, okay? Apparently his dad did, but he wasn't on camera, okay? So there's an element here where Edmund, regardless of how absent his mother his parents was able to really do something with his life. So in that way, he's very commendable, okay? So this is his mom. This is his mother, okay? So she comes on camera and just see if you can get the vibe. See if you can get the vibe, because I know exactly who she reminds me of in my own life. I have an aunt very similar.
But I'm going to help put things in perspective for you a little bit. The young ladies I've known you to be, well, you picked some good ones. But then I raised a good son too. You know that's a lot of work I put in y'all. I can't just go letting just anybody have y'all because they think.
She said, I raised a good son too. You know how much work I put into you all. Her kids were in and out of foster care. She wasn't around. She had problems, right? His parents had problems. So here's Edmund, who has to be the happy-go-lucky guy. He tries to be positive about everything, but he was an in and out of homes kind of kid. He never had stable living his whole life. And then he's got a mother who he's like, man, I don't want to be mean to my mom. I love my mom. Like, she's in my life. Like, people do things. They go on journeys, da-da-da-da. He's trying to be really empathetic to his mom. But then the narrative his mother has is she was a great mom. She worked so hard on making her kids great, and her kids are great because she's great. Versus her kids are great regardless of who their mother is. What's that saying? I'm not great because you are my father. I'm great even though you were my father. What do they say? That's what's really happening here, right?
Hey, don't get me wrong. I get it. Young people date differently. I get that. But you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Despite. Thank you, despite. And she's like, you gotta go to Ghana with me. I love Ghana. You have to come to Ghana with me. She sounds like she's part of like a spiritual cult or something. Like the way she talks, I'm like, she's like, I love Ghana. Ghana's the greatest. I'm like, Ghana? Like, I just didn't even feel like, I don't even know if they have family in Ghana, but it was the way she was talking about Ghana that I was like, she was talking about a retreat or some sort of spiritual stuff. I kind of missed it the first watch, but I was like, what is she talking about? And it almost sounds like a person who falls for scams, but says like she knows. She reminds me so much. I have an aunt who, she's the kind of aunt that her life is a mess, but she's always the first one to give you advice. Her everything about her, she's bad with money, bad with health, bad with everything. But then she's always the one who's like, oh, read this book, watch this YouTube video, watch this podcast. That's who she reminds me of.
Meeting her, I like her. I do.
And then they cry and they're over theatric, right? Like, why are you crying?
I'm not perfect, but we love hard. So when you say you want to get things going, but being your age, I'm not going to tell you not to, because you've always said, Mom, I'm not going to have no kids. I can't afford to have kids, and kids cost money. And you've done college, you've done the traveling thing, and you're doing the career thing. Now I see
this is the most serious you see him through the whole series. And I think when he gets around authority figures, he gets small like a kid, which is a part of the trauma, which is why people infantilize him, which is why KB was annoyed with him. Because at the end of the day, you can't be an equal partner if when life gets hard, you go, which is why I don't think it's really cute. Like, when people do the whole like kid voices, like do that in the privacy of your home, like be fucking serious right now though. And like, even at home, like, again, are we going to have this conversation in our feelings or analytically? Because like if in our feelings means you put on a kid voice, you need to analytically, let's go. Okay. So that's why I'm really strict with like communication style. Cause I know when I'm in my feelings, I can even do a kid voice, which is why I'm like, ooh, let's look at this analytically. Cause if I go through my feelings, I'm not going to have an adult conversation. Hold on. Here's what's happening. I'm feeling triggered. I'm uncomfortable. I feel slightly unsure of what's happening, and I feel slightly rejected, and it's making me want to go away. Something like that. It's like, instead of being like, well, I don't know, if you don't like me, like, if you don't want to hang out with me, I mean, like, are you mad at me? I get it, but also, there's like no distinction. And so we have to distinct. I'm not telling you not to do a kid voice. I'm saying if you're going to do that voice, make sure you're doing it in an appropriate setting and learn the tools to put yourself in the right headspace, because, you can't be in that headspace for serious conversations, which when he's with KB, he's like, I'm too fucking nice. Like, he's triggered. right? He's triggered. He's not saying, I don't think KB is saying, you owe me sex because I'm a nice guy, you won't give me sex. He's saying, this is happening again. It's the same thing that always happens to me. I think I'm on the same page as the people in the room around me, and I realize I'm the only one not in the loop. I think he's saying that I don't understand what I'm doing wrong, that things don't make sense to me. I think that's what he's saying. It doesn't then make it okay for what, like, I'm not saying the breakdowns are unethical. I don't think getting triggered is unethical. I don't think having a breakdown is unethical. I think what's unethical is not doing the work to understand them so you can communicate them to your partners. So like when I have an autistic meltdown, I tell my partner like, oh my God, I'm spiraling. Ignore the next 20-minute monologue. And then I'll go on a monologue for like 20 minutes. My partner's like, and they're just supportive, but they know it's not about them. Like I'm just spiraling about things because I have my own insecurities. Like I have my own problems. To be fair, mine are mostly mine are not even related to the relationship. So that's helpful versus I don't think his is either, to be fair. I don't think that inner monologue of like, I'm too fucking nice is even about relationships. Because it can relate to jobs. It can relate to friendships. It can relate to romantic stuff. It can relate to a lot of things, right?
You're ready to nest. You're ready to settle down. I'm not going to tell you to put it off. Because tomorrow is never promised.
She made this whole speech and didn't even show up to the wedding.
All of my daughter-in-laws. I got one daughter-in-law that'll run cry and tell my son, will rat me out every time. This one here.
She said, I have 2 daughter-in-laws, one that will route me out to my son every time. This one here,
I think she'll be ready to talk shit to me.
I think she'll be ready to like, I think she said talk shit or confide in her. What did she say?
You know, hey, I ain't got shit to me. Let me know, hey, I ain't got to run the enemy. I got this. I can hold my own. There was some daughter-in-laws, they go rat me out to my sons.
Some of my daughter-in-laws are going to route me out to my sons.
Yeah. Can't stand it. Don't go rat me out on my son.
Everything gotta go back then.
Exactly. Thank you. And you are the first one out of the 4 that I have, daughter-in-laws. You are the first one to actually speak up and say exactly. I gotta go run and tell Ed and everything. It is.
Yeah, I just think like my heart goes out to his mom, as I'm sure she's a victim of a lot of things. But that's the problem, is like no one's the adult in this room, and KB is trying so hard to be, and then she's villainized for it, which is why I'm so frustrated for KB this season, especially since like I'm a little disappointed that I'm super disappointed that Dr. Kirkonda added to that rhetoric, because I think he was just so, I get it. He was empathizing with the biggest victims in the room, which were the men this season, even though the women I think were the bigger victims because of the men this season. Give or take, not everyone. There were a couple women that I was like, girl, okay. But at the same time, okay, a little frustrating, I think, that he added to the conversation about KB being like an aggressive or whatever woman, because his comment section were flooded with the anti-KB comments. I'll get into it, okay? Let me see, chat. Let me make sure I'm not. Ooh, 2C coded? Yeah, either a 1 or 2C coded for sure. I think so. Like the mom, you mean? I think so. Either a 1 or a 2C for sure. And then I'm thinking like I'm thinking Edmund, the reason he's so confusing is because he's kind of like, I mean, like I said, like having a master's degree is nothing to scoff at. He has a degree, he has finances in order. He seems to, at least based off the edits, seems to have all the adulting kind of there. But at the same time, he's just lacking a lot of introspection work in my mind, but I'll show you some interviews so you can get a better idea of him. Chat says, what if you struggle with your feelings and you're always analytical? How would you tell someone to stop? Oh, sorry, hold on. 2 comments, I read them wrong. What if you struggle with your feelings and you're always analytical? I find in the past people feel like their emotions are dismissed when I'm being analytical. I think it's a combination of both. Like, the true form of wisdom is balancing both and crediting both as valuable. Your emotions are just as valuable as your analytical. Analytical, though, is not less emotional. It's not analytical. Okay, you can't. Analytical is emotion informed, not emotion felt. So, example, let's say I don't know. Let's say you're Edmund. And instead of embodying the feeling of like, oh my God, it's me, I'm a fucking loser, he goes, KB, I respect your decision not to have sex with me, which he did before. He did. He was like on board, though confused. And then he was like, man, I feel like I got to have sex before marriage. This feels weird. He was telling the boys. And then it was kind of a weird, he was struggling with it. Okay. He was struggling with it, which I think is valid because that would be a hard no for me. If we're not having sex before marriage, I'm good. I'm not marrying you. But that's because I don't understand the point. You know what I mean? Okay. So instead of saying that, he could say, KB, I respect your decision not to have sex before marriage. Where did that come from? Okay. Because I do feel really rejected by it. And honestly, I feel sort of like abandoned by it, but I would like to know where you're coming from so I can better understand my own feelings around it. It's analytical is being able to process your emotions, not to ignore them. It's not logical. You know, what I'm being logical, not emotional. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm being analytical, scientific. I'm being actually accurate about the fact that I do feel rejected. I feel ugly. And I feel rejected, and therefore I feel like a loser, and I feel like it's because I'm a nice guy. Oh, okay, well, how do we get there, right? It's actually acknowledging everything. So when I say analytical, I mean actually emotion informed, right? It's just not instead of moving through the, I'm crying, I'm like, I just feel so ugly, and I feel so stupid, and I hate feeling this way, and your partner comes and comforts you and goes, I love you, you're great, I'm so sorry you're feeling this way. That would be like an emotional connection, which is just as good. You need both, but one is better for one or the other is better. Sometimes we'll choose my marriage and I will choose to be analytical. And I'm like, I think we should be emotional about this. Cause I think the analytical isn't what we need right now for this tool. Let's try to embody like a here in this moment right now. And then maybe we'll hold each other's hands and like breathe deep together and be like, okay, yeah, let me feel my emotions. Let me feel everything. Let me just feel it, because each situation could use either or. You never know. Because how would you tell someone to stop doing the kid voice? Well, I would say, oh yes, DBT in action. How would I tell someone to stop doing the kid voice? I would say more like, why are we doing the kid voice? Right? Like, oh, I think you're slipping into like vulnerable, like kid voice a little bit. Like, what's up with that? I would need to know why we're doing that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and the person would have to be receptive to it too. So it's a two-way street. The person would have to be open to hearing you say, I think you're talking in kid voice right now, which is obviously not unethical or immoral or wrong, but for this situation might not be as helpful. Are you able to be kind of out of that headspace, or would it be better if you stayed there? So I think that's the big part of it is like communication has to be a relationship with whoever you're having it with, right? Chet says, how could you even start to join that family, have interactions with the mom without your partner having serious conversations about decisions and boundaries? Well, most people don't, right? Like most people really end up like they don't think about who they're marrying into. They also don't think about making sure that their family is your married commitment together is the family now. I think if I'm reading the situation correctly, I do think Edmund has a toxic probably relationship with his family still. And I would be worried as KB if I married into this family that like he doesn't have good boundaries with his mom. Even though he tries to be understanding and he tries to be very like he has really great moments of wisdom throughout the show. Like he really does. Like sometimes I'm very impressed with Edmund, and then sometimes I'm like I'm getting mad. Okay? At the wedding, like his mom didn't come, and instead of like saying anything bad about her, he's a little, you know what he is? He's toxic positivity. That's what Edmund is. That's why he's annoying. He's toxic positivity. Oh, my mom had things to do. It's okay. It's no big deal. Everybody has to go. Instead of just saying, I'm really fucking bummed. I'm honestly disappointed. She consistently doesn't show up in my life. And honestly, I think I need to have a different relationship with my mother. It's basically toxic positivity the feelings away. Okay. So he's at the wedding with KB. Okay. Looking cute. They all look cute. Okay. She looks cute. Very pretty. Okay. She rejects him. He wails. Fair. Okay. He's pretty upset. And he's disappointed. Okay. I understand the disappointment. I think the layered part of this whole thing is the fact that everyone makes everyone feel bad for having any criticism of Edmund. That's what I've noticed the most is like either women think he's like every typical incel, which I think is the wrong way to view Edmund, or they think he's every typical man. I think that's so wrong. or they infantilize him and think like, hey, the show should never have had him on. There were so many Reddit posts of Edmund Love is Blind posts saying like, why is this man on the show? He's obviously not mentally capable of being on the show. But then even that's like ableism, because why not? It says Edmund is a glaring example of casting's very obviously cruel intentions. I guess that's why I couldn't be in casting gig. I would feel the need to protect people from themselves. Edmund should never be on a TV screen for his own good. Casting saw someone with unresolved past issues and some present quirks, to put it mildly, and couldn't wait to throw him in front of millions of viewers and exploit his lack of self-awareness. They clearly don't know. They clearly don't care about any of these people even a little bit. I am only 2 episodes in and undecided if I'm going to continue to watch. Yeah, by the second episode, you were like, a little autistic. Edmund's a little autistic. But then you're wondering, like, is it wrong? I mean, are we infantilizing him? He's educated. He's capable. He has a full-time job. But then everybody on Reddit and everyone is like, what is going on? Like the whole season when I watched, I had to Reddit the whole time. I was like, oh my God, this season's so stressful. I need to talk to somebody about it. And it is interesting the way we sort of combination infantilized him, but also we're like, good job, Edmund. You went to school. Oh my God, Edmund, you're so smart, Edmund. But then Edmund's like, oh, I'm not autistic. I'm like, but then are we infantilizing him because we're saying he's autistic? There's a lot of layers here. So let me show you this. First, let me show you this. This is his Instagram. Okay, just to get an idea. Okay. So Love is Blind. Okay, he's a realtor. Okay. Hold on, these are his, I think it's copyrighted music, so.
Hey, time is now. Where's the state? Time is now.
Okay. So this is him showing his, like, it could be quirky, it could be cool. Like, I could definitely see somebody thinking he's sweet and he's so cute. To be honest with you, I could not be with somebody with this personality. I would just feel like their mother. Like, I know people are like, oh, he's so cute, he's so positive. Yeah, I get it. Not for me. Like, I'm not this girly. I would love to date a KB, right? Like, KB's great. Like, somebody who's a little, she's too young, obviously, but somebody who's a little more grounded, somebody who's like able to have like serious conversation. Oh, and another word people kept calling KB, which you just know why it's racist under Dr. Kirkhana's videos, was ratchet. Anytime I heard the word ratchet, when it comes to, she's a typical Black woman, ratchet. And I was like, oh, and I was like, Dr. Kirkhana, do something about these comments. I was like, see? So Edmund gets to be the cute, quirky guy, and KB's the bad girl for just pointing out that he won't grow the fuck up. And that's what I'm saying. Like, look, I love that he's skating. I love that he's got a hobby. I love that he's like, I love his fashion and everything, super cute, but like also grow the fuck up. And so I kind of, and I mean this nicely, this is why I say, like, as much as we want to be the adults in the room, Edmund can't be. Edmund can't be. That was the problem with this whole season. This whole season felt like no one, mostly the boys, were willing to be the grown-ups in the room. Okay?
I also think
this is the reunion, KB and Edmund going back and forth.
True, but nothing I did was like repeated offenses.
Babe, sweetheart, you literally dismissed me the entire 3 weeks, which is why I blew up on the mountains. You dismissed me in the car and told another woman to speak over me.
I didn't though.
Oh my gosh.
Listen to that. Okay, autism accent. I know with Peace and Love, people think that autism doesn't have a look. ADHD neurodivergency doesn't have a look. It has a look. And Edmund has the sound. He even sounds autistic. Listen to that.
In the car and told another woman to speak over me.
I didn't though.
I didn't though. It's like it sounds like a tantrum, but I just think it's autism accent. I hear it in myself when I'm like really frustrated. I think that's what people are hearing in me that they don't like about me. I think that's what people hear. Cause like I think that's what I see in Edmund. I'm like, I know that accent. And that's the problem. There is an accent, there's an infantilization, there's and that, you know what I'm saying? The fact that everyone on the internet was like autism, right? And he was like, I don't have autism. And I'm like, you might want to look into that.
Oh my gosh, were we not in the same car?
didn't.
But in your apology, when you came back in the house with flowers, you literally said, I'm sorry for ignoring you and telling someone else to speak over you. So where in this story am I making this up?
I just don't remember.
Okay,
just
and I
don't
can
remember.
respect that.
I'm trying
See, it's like, I just don't remember, right? Chad says this relatable reaction. Don't excuse it, but damn, I feel bad for him. Why do you feel bad for him? I don't actually feel bad for him. I feel annoyed by him. I'm on the side is I don't feel bad for him, but I also feel bad for his child self that was neglected. I feel bad for his adolescent self that was abused. I feel bad for the neglect he experienced. I feel less bad for 29-year-old Edmund. I don't feel bad at all for 29-year-old Edmund, but I do feel bad for the life that led him to this point. I do. Because that's so real, right? Like, that's the problem with life. That's why preventative care is so important. That's why privilege is so good for your kids. It gives them the privilege of parents who are consistently there, the privilege of a stable home, right? He didn't have stability his whole life. Guys, divorce is going to impact your kids. Doesn't mean you don't get divorced. It means pay attention to who you marry. Not being able to care for your kids because you have them irresponsibly will impact how adults end up in the world and who your daughters date in the future. So again, when we have these conversations, it's obviously there's a system issue. We know this. And we can also explain why these things happen and why we advocate for mental health and why we advocate for housing and why we advocate for sex education and why we advocate for all these things. Because the truth is like no child should come into the world and go through the foster care system back and forth. Like, he shouldn't have had that experience. But also because he had that experience, people are infantilizing him and not holding him accountable for the way he shows up now, which I do think is, I know it's a double-edged sword, but you got to have both, you know? And that's the thing, you got to have both. But yeah, I do think he's probably neurodivergent or CPTSD or both. And I think that him not looking into it is kind of bad because it means like maybe he's not willing to own it, but it would probably explain so much of his life. He could go get autistic care and resources. He could hang out with other ADHD people, and he could go to therapy for those anger issues and or for the frustration he feels, because like autistic frustration is real. And that's the problem with being neurodivergent is the truth is if you're having sensory overload, if you're really stimming as much as this man would stim just to cope, like people even thought his pick might have been like a comfort item, right? Something that he felt good in. I'm telling you, he needs resources. But I'm telling you right now, as an autistic woman, if I showed you my meltdowns, you would probably treat me similar to how you treat Edmund or anyone else because it looks unhinged. That's why it's a disability. That's why it's mental health. That's why it also is just difficult. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean you're a bad person if you have a meltdown. It just means that you have to know the appropriate times of how to control them and where they're happening. It doesn't mean you can't have them. But often I do think, similar to how police escalate when they see meltdowns, we're also doing the same here in a sense. Not that, again, autistic meltdowns can lead to physical abuse. We've seen it time and time again with people. But that's not unique to autism. It's just that now we have a reason for why, and we can make it better. Versus with a neurotypical person, when they're hitting you and having a meltdown, it's like it's a different thing. Like it's a different why, right? So I'm just saying that I can still be empathetic to him and also not feel sorry for 29-year-old him. But also I understand why you feel sorry for him. And also, right? Okay, so let me show you this because I think it's so interesting. This is Table for One. It's a podcast started by what was this guy's name? Actually, hold on. Let me see. He was one of the worst. Joe, I think, one of the worst guys on the season. One of the absolute worst ones on the season. And I was a little annoyed because same Dr. Kirkonda he kept infantilizing him, which I was annoyed with, and he kept being like, Joe's just kind of stupid. Tee-hee. And the girl he was with, Madison, I think, he's like, oh, she's really just being inappropriate. Joe was crazy. Joe had so many problems. And poor Madison, okay, like, I don't know how, and like, I get it, he's like a bumbling idiot, but he's so fucked up. And he's not that stupid. Okay? And that's the problem. I think in this show, same with Casey and Patrick, a lot of people are not attracted to their partner once they see them. And I do think there's a cope with that because Dr. Kirkonda kept being so optimistic, and I love him for that. He's such a sweet little bean, where he was like, oh no, I think Joe was really attracted to her. No. Okay. Or, oh, I think Casey and Patrick were really into each other. Casey did not like Patrick. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was so obvious to me. Like, the second I saw them, I was like, this is going to be bad. And okay. Chad says off topic, but would you ever talk about how to navigate meltdowns with your partner and being confident and being seen in these moments? Well, it's so personal, right? I'll just say this. First, you have to make sure that nobody is getting hurt because you're having a meltdown. That's one, including yourself, especially yourself, because you might self-harm. You might bite or hit or throw things. Make sure that's not happening. 2, make sure you're communicating when they're not happening. So when they do happen, you can save for it and be like, oh, I'm having a meltdown. I'm going to pace the fuck out of this apartment and I am mad. I need a squeezy toy. Squeezy toy, that. Okay? 3, make sure you're dating somebody who's willing to get informed and do research on their own as well. And make sure you're dating somebody who's willing to call you out and say, hey, I love you. You're being a little much right now. I'm going to need 10 minutes from you. Okay. Because often, especially if you're dating another neurodivergent person, you might be both sensory overloading each other. And you might need to be like, you know what? I'm going to need a second. Even a neurotypical person, really anybody. Like, you have to allow your partner to also need space from you and you from them, but in a loving, non-punishment way. The number one rule of this relationship is no one's going to get punished. Only love and unconditional love and respect and boundaries in communication, and hopefully that kindness transforms into like a version of informed consent that says, you're having a meltdown and I recognize it and I love you. Is it okay if I go get space from you? Because right now I can't actually handle it. And me being able to say like, yes, thank you so much. I'm going to sit on this couch until it's over. And like a lot of my spirals, to be honest, are around work. And a lot of it is, a combination of like chronic illness and never feeling like I do enough. And also like, I'm not even kidding you that I can have a meltdown and be like, oh my God. And I can spiral for like a whole night. Like I will just like ruminate. And then I wake up the next day and I check my YouTube stats. I'm like, never mind. I'm great at my job. And then everything's good again. But if I get negative feedback enough, which is, by the way, done on purpose on YouTube, when you log into your account, it literally goes, boo, you're doing really bad. And I'm like, okay. And then it goes, hey, you're doing really great. And that feedback is triggering to not only autistic people, but I think neurodivergent people, and I'm chronically ill. It feels really bad. And I'm like, oh, I hate that. Like they make you feel so shitty, and they're doing it as a way to influence you, to encourage you to do better. But it actually just makes me want to kill myself. So I have to fight that instinct that says like, you're doing very bad right now. Like, oh my God, everything is down. Subscribers are down. Oh my God, it's gray. Brittany, you're losing money. Look, you're not making as much money. You're not gonna be able to pay your rent. And then I'm like, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God. And then the next day I'll wake up and the page will refresh and they're like, just kidding. You're actually doing great. Oh my God, look, an extra $200. And I'm like, okay. Because I get paid once a month. So I work, like I get paid, I get like I won't get paid for January until the 21st of February. So my brain is like, oh my God, did I make enough money? Am I going to pay rent? Like, did I hustle enough this month? And then I have to wait 21 days, you know what I mean, to even get that payout. And so it's just very exhausting. So I melt down a lot over that, but it's also like my partner's so used to it that at this point they're just like, you're doing great. You're awesome. Look how we've been doing this. You've been doing this for 6 years, the same job you've had for 6 years. And I'm like, and then it's just like, you've literally been, but that's so I think having a partner that humanizes me and also doesn't take it upon themselves. I never want my stress to be their stress, but they will be stressed by seeing me stressed. So after I'm done having my meltdown, I go to my partner. I go, hi, I love you. Are you okay? Is everything okay? And I'm like, do you need anything? Do you need aftercare? Because, and then that's what it is. We give aftercare to each other because the reality is like, this will happen for the rest of our life. This is going to be the rest of our life. So get used to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I think that making it also like something that you can laugh about the next day is really important. And knowing that you're never mean to each other and knowing that like, what are you going to do? But that's the part where I wish, like, sometimes I was like, man, like, I wish I didn't have these, like, you know, moments, but they're just like on schedule now. So I'm pretty used to it. But it's still real. Like, I'm used to it, but it's still real. So it's like, it's, you know, if you know, you know. Okay, check this out. So this is a podcast done by Joe. It's a Halloween episode. So this was back in October. And just listen to the way Edmund talks about himself. I'm not even going to speed it up just so you can understand the way he speaks, right?
I like that. I like that viewpoint. Hey, when is it okay to start farting in front of your woman?
Ooh. Damn, that's a good question. I would say for me though, because I can speak on. For me, I would say if I could fart with her in a month, in a week, I'm pretty respectful too. But eventually,
I got to get that out of the way, dude.
How quick are you?
This guy's got no choice because he's celiac, and
I'm like half, dude.
He's half celiac,
every time I have,
but that doesn't stop him from eating gluten. And this guy likes to rip one or two.
All right, dude. Hey, you know what's crazy about Isaac? He hates farts. Every guy,
even women,
dude.
I like when my girl fart though. I'm not. Am I good? Hey man, I like when. No, I tell you my reason why I like when my woman fart, because that shows how comfortable she is with you.
Yeah,
and she not farting with the other guys.
She farted on me first. I knew.
Yeah, that shit's sexy.
It was great.
Farting. That's just.
It's a normal thing, and if a gal can fart in front of me, like
I just want to pause and say, we are not a farting household. This is not something we want to do in front of each other. I do not want to smell that shit, okay? We also don't poop with the doors open. I know some people poop with the door open. We are not those people. Some of you in my comments told me you guys have a chair in your bathroom so you can talk to your partner while they poop. I don't know if you guys were being serious, but somebody in my chat told me that once, and I was like, we are not the same, but good for you, I guess, you know? Find your high compatibility partner. I think Edmund is gross. And I also think KB, and I don't find gross people attractive. I'm sorry. He eats his own boogers and brags about it on TV. Like, it's a fun fact. Gross. Okay. He, like, you know, he's talking about farting. He's like biting her toes. He's licking the floor. I think ultimately I get the ick at like gross hygienic behaviors. I get the literal ick. So for me, not cute. Other people, you know what I mean? Like, they're into it. So that's another part of high compatibility, like hygiene and expectation, like, gross.
That shit is sexy. It's weird,
Isaac
but it's
hates
sexy.
it. Isaac as a guy hates
I have
other guys
never
fart.
farted in front of a girl. Never.
Dude, he hasn't farted in front of me.
Isaac's the man.
That's the thing.
Wow.
I'm like, what is you're acting like a woman
First
over
of all,
here.
I eat healthy. I'm not.
I know you don't fart. All right. That's a guy thing. It's very much a guy thing.
Yeah, I'll fall in love if a girl fart. When she fart near me, that's
You smell it?
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna smell it.
So Joe's joking. Like, Joe's making a joke, like, oh, you smell the farts? It's like a fart joke. But then Edmund's like, oh, yeah, I smell it. And I'm like, damn, this boy's nasty. Honestly. But it's so, like, it is kind of like neurodivergent coded. Like, it almost feels like, yeah, that feels autistic to me too. There is a type of neurodivergent boy. I think a lot of people who especially are into kinks and stuff, I just think there's like a level of neurodivergency happening there. I do.
If a girl fart, when she fart near me, that's
You smell it?
Okay. Oh yeah, I'm gonna smell it. All right, I'm not. I don't get, man. I get, yeah. Y'all not freaks.
How freaky are you?
Scale to 1 to 10. I'm a good 7.
7. Okay.
Hey, do you have a foot fetish?
Hey, dude, I got my questions on here.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
All right. Hey. Oh,
no, let him answer.
When is it okay to let your partner know that you like sucking toes?
On the show, he sucks toes. He sucks KB's toes on the show. It's like really fucking weird.
Oh, I would say.
Oh, not that I've never sucked toes. For the record, I have sucked toes. Okay, I'm not shaming him for sucking toes. But I, on TV, on Netflix, maybe like not, you know what I mean? Maybe not kiss the floor of the studio. I mean, he was literally face down. Let me see if I can find this video really fast. Hold up. Let me see if I can find this video because I should have pulled it up. It's crazy. Edmund kissing floor.
Edmund, I know you lying. I would have been looking the same way.
What are you doing?
Literally.
What are you doing?
Edmund, kiss your arm. At least. If you want to kiss him. The floor, Edmund.
You know what I mean? Like, he is just, I think he's stimming. Because, like, have you ever seen an autistic kid stim or an autistic adult stim? Look, higher needs autistic people, I've seen them do a lot of weirdly weird fucking shit. I think lower needs autistic people tend to hide it better. You know what I mean? But I do think that's pretty typical. I do see a lot of neurodivergent people putting their mouth on a lot of things they shouldn't be putting their mouths on. Because it's an impulse, it's a compulsion, and they can't stop it because it feels good. The stim is there, okay? Have you ever seen those videos of people who have, like, when your knee is up? When your knee is up and you're just kind of putting your face on your knee and then you kiss your knee? Do you ever do that? I do that. That's one of my stims. And for sure. But I see TikToks about it all the time. Like, do you ever just kiss your knee? Yeah, totally. Like, sometimes I just, like, I'll even, like, touch my own hands. I'll, like, sometimes I'll just even stim on my own hands. And I think Edmund just does it with fucking floors. And I'm like, bro, it's gross. You know what I mean? But I think that's the problem. I don't think, I think people are gross. Actually, I was just texting with a friend about this because we were having a discussion about peeing or sitting down to pee. You should sit down to pee. Standing to pee is crazy in your own house. That is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. Okay, pee splashing everywhere. It's disgusting. Sit to pee. Hello? Okay, and then put the lid down. Like, people who don't understand to put the lid down, like, look, honestly, I think most people are pretty gross. If I'm going to be honest. I think most people that I meet, I find them to be gross. Okay? And so I don't think Edmund is exceptional in this regard. I think a lot of people are just as gross as he is, and successful and have a house and have a master's degree and have all these things. And I think that's the point. The point is, you need to ask these questions when you're dating people, because some of these boys are licking floors.
I'm more like a month guy nowadays, so I say after a month.
After a month?
Yeah. If it's not after a month, then I'm waiting for 3 months to suck some toes. Or
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Chat said, I feel like men want an excuse to not do the bare minimum hygiene things. So they say they want women to be comfortable doing it. So to do that, but they really don't. I think we're just like monkeys on a planet. I think we're animals. I think humans are pretty gross. Like, I don't think we're as clean as we think we are. Women or men. You know how many women I've had to tell, like, girl, you need to scrub your toilet. There's poop all over it. Multiple women in my life. I'm like, hey, girly, you leave poop in the toilet. Like, a lot. What are we doing here? What's up with that? Really uncomfortable conversations to have with your girlfriends, PS. So I think it's animal. I think it's because we're animals. I genuinely do. I think men cope and go, oh, we're just guys. No, you're just animals. So I want an animal that's really hygienic. I want a cat. Okay? I want a cat. I want you to clean and lick your body clean every day, baby. Okay?
But yeah, I'm not really a foot fetish kind of guy, though, truly.
Yeah.
I like his self-awareness here that he's not a foot fetish guy. Listen to what he says instead.
Really, I'm a big pleaser. Like, I love, like, treating. Love treating.
Let me just tell you this. In the dungeon, Edmund would have absolutely been taken advantage of. The Dommy mommies, the Dommy daddies, they would have swooped him up. A little surface bottom who does whatever you want and loves to please. He would have absolutely been popular in the dungeon. But that's kind of the dilemma. Are they taking advantage of Edmund? Is he not able to understand informed consent? Is he too ignorant, innocent? Or are we all underestimating him because of the way he talks? Because of his accent or the way that he appears? Which one is it? Or is he secretly super manipulative? Because some people are like, oh, he's a full-on narcissist, super manipulative. I'm not seeing that either. That's more like Joe. Joe was crazy all this season. Joe was so frustrating this whole season. But no, like, I think Edmund is a combination of neurodivergent infantilization and he weaponized incompetence.
And I know if it was me, if I'll get my foot massaged, I'm like, I'm just speaking for myself though, but that would say levels to where that would, if a woman would down to rub my feet, not many women are down to rub my feet. So that is the one, if anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sunscreen too, off of them.
Okay, hold on. So that's one clip. Let me show you this clip. Okay, same podcast, different clip.
Oh, what's an instant nope for you when it comes to dating? Like, absolutely not.
How I take it as, I need to grow with this, but I think it just comes down to me.
Yeah.
So if I have, that's a hard question.
You could be
that's
mean.
A hard question.
You could be mean. That's the thing. I mean,
Yeah.
not mean, but like something that really just turns you off.
Something that would really turn me off and where I would say no is, I mean, if it's like physical, like if she's like physically hitting me or something.
Oh, she's beating the shit out of you. yeah. I usually draw the line. Well, I'll give that about. You know,
I'll give it like 2 or 3. I'm gonna give it 2 or 3 times as well. So I don't even know my limit though. That's
you might like it then.
Wait, you've been hit by a girl before?
Oh yeah.
I don't
know if y'all have you been hit by a woman before?
Isaac's been hit before.
I got hit
I've been
once
hit
by
before.
a girlfriend.
Yeah.
We were young. It's okay. But
yeah, I've been hit before.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm like
and Isaac hit her back.
No, I didn't. No, absolutely.
I know you wouldn't.
Nice.
Don't say that.
Sorry, that did not.
You know what I mean? Like they're not even having domestic violence conversations because they're so they're weird. See how they're not toxic masculinity, Jim bro? They're toxic masculinity. I can't have a real conversation about the fact that I was hit because I don't want to blow it out of proportion. But the truth is like, I don't even know my limit with that. And that's because in patriarchy, we're convinced that women can hit men because men are stronger. And that women then in some bubbles do feel empowered to physically use violence as a way to state dominance because that's what you're taught under patriarchy. And the men are taught to just take it. So that's why I say like never. We do not ever get physical if we are ever emotionally dysregulated in any capacity. That's the other part of the meltdown that's difficult because I will watch a lot of autistic kids on TikTok whose parents I don't think should be posting them. And the kids will start, they're adults, but and they're hitting and kicking the parent's trying to show how hard it is, which I understand it's difficult. But at that point, you're kind of feeling bad for him and feel like, okay, something should happen with this kid. Like we should help him. The comments are all like, hit him back. He knows what he's doing. I don't know if he knows what he's doing because I don't know. Same thing with Edmund. Does he know what he's doing? Because if he does, we're not hard enough on him. We should be harder on him. But if he doesn't know what he's doing, if I explain it to him, will he get it? And then if he doesn't get it, what does that mean? Because at some point, the question of do you understand what's happening is the difference between me trusting you to be an adult that's like in society and me not trusting you. Or me can I rely on you to understand this? There's a scene in the series where KB is really, really, really stressed. And I'm going to show you in relation to the Dr. Kirkonda video, because this is where I'm annoyed with him a little bit. But they go to this like cowboy event and it's themed cowboy. And before the event, KB says, can you please, I've been working all day. I've been running around all day. Can you please go to the store and get some items for the event? And Edmund goes, no, I can't. He goes, no, I don't want to be late. I'm already ready. I don't want to be late. And I think what he was trying to say that he can't communicate because he refuses to get diagnosed is, hey, I'm in like ADHD paralysis and I actually can't do anything because I know this thing is happening tonight. And asking me to get into the car and go shopping is like absolutely impossible for me. But instead he just said no. And KB was like, what do you mean no? And Edmund's like, no, I'll be late. I can't go. And she's like, I just need your help. Can you help me? And he's like, no. And then I'm like, what do you mean no? Get in the car. But the problem is like, I understand as somebody who has paralysis when I have an event, if I know I have like a doctor's appointment, I have to take off all day from work. I can't do both. Like my brain goes, oh, and that's it. That's all we're doing today. We're doing one thing today, and that's the one thing I've decided to do. And if you told me, can you also go to the store? I'd be like, oh, you better catch me on a really good day for me to also go to the store. You know what I mean? That is really hard for me, but I will do it if I need to survive. If I tell myself, Brittany, we're in survival mode, get in the fucking car, or in this case, get in the fucking bus and go to the store, then I could do it. But it'd be spoons I'm going to need tomorrow. So I'm dipping into tomorrow spoons to get it done, which is a part of growing up. A part of the adulting in your adult relationship is saying, I know you're neurodivergent. I know you're disabled. Get up and do it anyways. It's really hard to be an adult, but I will do it and I will just have to sleep in the next day to prepare those spoons. Okay, which is the disability part. So again, I think, and so she went into that night that we're going to review. She went into that night like really upset with him because he wasn't reliable. And then he was like, oh, Kibi. And I was like, oh, if he talks in baby talk one more time, I'm gonna, I was like, I was just like so upset. The weaponized incompetence. But the issue is, if you refuse to get diagnosed and then you have this problematic behavior and you don't have an explanation for the problematic behavior, then I'm going to assume you're malicious. So this is why people thought he was a narcissist. Because people were like, well, then if he's not autistic, he's a narcissist. And I'm like, well, he's something. Something's happening. Okay, one more clip from this pod and we'll continue.
Hey, let's do role model, superhero. I mean, I think people saw a little bit of it, who she was. So.
Yeah, I could say quick and easy.
Yeah.
Jessie, Mrs. Welsh.
Yeah.
Especially now at the age I'm at 30, but I'm losing my words when I'm losing my words when I'm thinking of her and speaking of her. But simply though, meeting people, she's a teacher that changed my life tremendously. I know I wouldn't have. Everyone has a story about growing up and everything, but where I'm at, I can only speak from my story. But I just grew up in West Virginia, where there's no opportunity, and it's poor white people as well. That's like the main thing West Virginia is. So of course, there's poor white people, it's poor black people, but it was just made like a really poverty white state that's poor, and I was in a foster care system, so I was like in homes with the poor white people, and it just.
How significant was she to your upbringing?
Oh, tremendously, because if she wasn't there in my life at that time, I would have caught the bus home and like probably went at 8, but I could do whatever I wanted. Like, just imagine, like, you see kid, but literally I was like, I got this when I was like 4 years old, but so I was like 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, going wherever I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And not no guardian.
That's not normal either.
It's not a normal thing. Yeah.
And so food, like direction. What I mean, she just
and discipline. I remember there's times where I was like,
if I remember, I think this is his first grade teacher. I could be wrong, but I think it's his first grade teacher. Does anyone remember from the show?
There's a moment in my life where, especially like entering middle school, I had terrible grades. I wasn't doing no athletics. I'm not alone though, but I met many other kids and people in the foster care system and also in schools that were in my position that but she was the reason for her to be there for me when I was hungry and when I was slacking, and her be like,
well, any kid at that age needs a little direction, right? And to be told, hey, let's straight and narrow, probably.
I think there's a lot about Edmund that's like really nice. Like, he talks about how he doesn't care what people look like. He just wants to love their character. He talks about like he, really respects people and their differences. And he says a lot of things that are very like sweet and endearing, but he just doesn't feel very reliable as like a grown up. There's something about him that I'm like, Now, let me see if I can pull it up for you. Hold on. I do want to finish that, but let me show you this. Edmund and teacher. He just like, some people didn't get the teacher dynamic with Edmund, but the truth is like, it's not uncommon
right now. Holy cow.
To feel inspired by an older person like
and you
this.
Had to come to Colorado to
his fifth grade teacher.
I had to come out. You're so great. You're so loving. You impacted my life tremendously.
And then, of course, as teachers, you're watching this, or as people, you're watching this, and like, you want to be that. You want to be so inspired. I mean, to be honest with you, like, my high school teachers absolutely saved me from killing myself. Like, I had one teacher in particular, and I do think that if he didn't come into my life would have been significantly worse. Just so significantly worse. And so I think it's so important to have those people there. And So I can see, but I think like even the way they talk to him, like the way my teacher talks to me, like if I ever catch up with him or something, he talks to me like an adult. There's no infantilization in his voice. The way she talks about him, the way people talk to Edmund, they use the kid voice with him, which is what a lot of my concern with him is. Okay? This is from the reunion. This is KB and him having the conversation. Okay, watch it now with all of that in mind.
I mean, I'm not saying that, but simply though, with this whole experience though, KB, I was so locked in on you. And it's just hard to love someone, give someone my best, and them just be seen as manipulative and just dismissive, and then also just like noticing the hard times, and there was a lot of good times and a lot of good things that I did to you, KB. I'm trying to like.
Okay, right? Just as the more I see him speaking uninterrupted for longer periods of time, the more I see what you're saying. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Where there's obviously a neurodivergence or something happening here. Okay, his tone of voice, the way he speaks, like, okay, something like you're smart. Yes, you went to school. Yes, you're an adult, but there's this thing here, which is the hard part about being neurodivergent or traumatized, is we're both things at the same time. We're like, it's a very big part of our stuntedness and our aesthetic. Like people say we dress young, we look young, we talk young, and yet we're going to school and we're educated and we're doing things and we're rocking our jobs. But at the same time, you know, there's like a youngness to us that often makes people think we're younger than we are too, right? There's like a big stereotype here that I think is happening, which is why I think it's even more obnoxious that he's like, I'm not autistic. Okay. You're something. And again, I'm not trying to tell him what he is, because I know he said he didn't like that. But I think it's weird that he's not wondering from the feedback, like, oh, wait, because maybe this would change things for him. Maybe this would improve his dating life, improve the partner he's dating. Maybe he could get resources, right? I don't know. Okay, so now let me show you this video here. It's a little long, actually. So let's take a 2-second break. We'll come back. We'll watch Dr. Kirk Honda talk about KB and Edmund, and I just want to show you how this season somehow people missed the mark on infantilizing the men, but giving all of the responsibility to the women. And I think this happens with a lot of us, especially if you're the firstborn girl, especially if you're a woman who's more of the mother figure. And KB did do a lot of mothering with Edmund. I admit she did do a lot of that. I think it was her social work background, right? But I think the issue is like, you cannot mother or therapize you cannot be your partner's therapist or mother. At the end of the day, we need equal partners who, yes, can be compassionate and can be loving and can be supportive, but like you have to rely on your partner to be capable. And one of the things I will say that I think contributes to the success of my marriage and the reason it's been the best 3 years of our life is that my partner and I are incredibly reliable, even though we are neurodivergent. And even though it is hard for us to do some of these things, and sometimes one appointment will throw off our whole day, we do it together. We're like an anime, like we grab each other's hand, like Sasuke and Naruto, and we're like, okay, let's do this. Vegeta and Goku, like, it's us against everybody, like, let's go. And like, it feels like a battle we do together. We don't turn on each other. We battle together. And that fundamentally changes everything about our dynamic, and I think is the difference you'll see right here with KB and Edmund, okay? So give me a second. I'll be right back, and we'll go over that section with Dr. Kirk Honda, who I love and respect, and I think is a wonderful person. I just think he kind of dropped the ball this season. But okay.